Everyone says that they are evolving, that they are vibrating high, that they have already awakened to a new consciousness. But what if I tell you that most people who say they are in 5D still live stuck in the same frequency as always, just with a more beautiful spiritual vocabulary? It's like that person who buys expensive running clothes, posts photos at the gym, but never really trains. The most uncomfortable question that no one wants to face is this: did you really ascend, or did you just learn to speak like someone who ascended? Because there is a brutal difference between authentic transformation and well-rehearsed spiritual theater. Look at the raw truth that will hurt a little bit. You can meditate every day, use crystals, burn incense, repeat Sanskrit mantras, and still continue to operate in the same vibration of fear, control, and judgment that you have always operated. It's like painting a cracked wall without fixing the structure. It looks beautiful on the outside, but the problem is still there, hidden, waiting for the right moment to crack everything again. The real revelation, the one that no one wants to hear but everyone needs, is that consciousness is not measured by what you know or what you post, but by what you do when no one is looking, when you are alone with your most primitive reactions. Now comes the good part, the solution that you can apply literally in the next 60 seconds. I have created a simple, straightforward, no-nonsense test that will reveal your true dimension of consciousness: 3D, 4D, or 5D. It's not about judging you, it's about showing you a clean mirror where you really are on this infinite journey of expansion. And look how interesting. The more honest you are with yourself in this test, the faster real evolution will begin, because you cannot change what you do not recognize exists. If you have the courage to face your truth without a filter, go to the comments now and write "ready." This will show yourself that you are committed to this authentic awakening, not just curious for another spiritual content to consume and forget about in 5 minutes. You know that feeling that you are evolving, expanding your consciousness, but deep down, something doesn't fit, right? It's as if you're running on a treadmill, sweating, straining, but you look out the window and the landscape remains exactly the same. Many people live in this illusion, thinking that they are leveling up, when in reality they are still stuck in the same frequency, repeating the same patterns in different clothes. It's like changing the color of the cage and thinking you've gained freedom. What if I told you that there is a simple way to find out if you have really woken up, or if you are still daydreaming, pretending to yourself that you have already gotten there? The point is that no one likes to admit that they may be stagnant, right? We prefer to believe that the anger we feel is just, that fear is realistic, that all that control is necessary. But authentic truth hurts a little before it liberates. It's like ripping off a band-aid, uncomfortable for a few seconds, but necessary for the wound to breathe and heal for real. The real transformation begins when you stop fooling yourself and look in the mirror without a filter, without excuses, without that cute little story you tell to sleep peacefully. The problem is that we live in a time where everyone wants to look enlightened on Instagram. You know, they post beautiful phrases about unconditional love, but curse the guy who cut them off in traffic. They talk about abundance, but feel tightness in their chest when they see the success of the other. They say they vibrated loudly, but they spend the day complaining, judging, competing. This dissonance between what we say we are and what we actually live is the greatest indicator of which dimension of consciousness you truly inhabit. And look, it's okay to be where you are. The problem is lying about it. So here's the real provocation, the one that separates those who want to grow from those who just want to look like they've grown up. Do you have the courage to make an honest test with yourself? It's not about answering what sounds most spiritual. It's about facing your automatic reactions, your hidden triggers, those parts of you that only show up when no one is looking. Because conscience is not measured by what you post, but by what you do when you think no one is watching. Look, in less than a minute, 60 times seconds, you will have in your hands a revelation about your true dimension of consciousness. It's not motivational coach talk selling illusion, nor that magazine test that tells you which Disney princess you would be. It's a real, direct, straightforward instrument that will show you if you're operating in 3D, 4D, or have already reached the so-called 5D. And you know what's most interesting? You don't need a 3-hour guided meditation, imported crystals, or Himalayan retreat. You just need raw honesty with yourself. The beauty of this process is that it doesn't depend on what you believe about yourself, but on what you really are in action. It's like when you think you're patient until you have to wait 15 minutes in line at the bank, or when you consider yourself detached until someone scratches your new car. The frequency at which you vibrate does not show up in your beautiful intentions, but in your involuntary reactions. This test was designed precisely to catch you off guard, to reveal what happens behind the scenes of your consciousness when the stage is empty. Think with me. How many times have you been mistaken thinking that you had evolved, only to come back in the same situation and prove to you that you haven't? That person who annoys you reappears in your life. That financial pattern repeats itself. That relationship with a new face, but the same essence. It's as if the universe were an insistent teacher applying the same test until you actually learn the material, not just memorize the answers. True ascension does not happen when you pretend to have changed, but when your vibration changes from the inside out. And look at the idea. This test will not judge you. It will not make you feel bad or superior. It will simply give you a clean mirror so you can see where you really are in this infinite journey of expansion. Because only when you know your real location on the map can you trace the true route to the destination you want to reach. Let me tell you how these dimensions work in practice, far from that complicated esoteric theory. 3D is that world where you wake up every day with the alarm clock ringing and already feel a pinch, like one more day to survive. It is living on the autopilot of fear, fear of losing, fear of not being enough, fear of being left behind. In this frequency, everything is competition. Even friendship becomes a veiled dispute of who is better off in life. It is looking at the other's plate and feeling envy instead of inspiration. It's that constant feeling of scarcity, that you never have enough, that you need to grab and hold on tight, or someone else will steal your slice of the pie. Now, 5D is a completely different movie, my friend. It is waking up and feeling true gratitude, even before remembering the problems. It's seeing someone's success and thinking, what a mass. If it worked for this person, it means it's possible for me too. This vibration of abundance, where you understand that the universe has no scarcity, just different distribution. In the fifth dimension, you no longer react automatically like a robot programmed by society. Do you know when someone offends you and you take a deep breath, observe the pain arising but don't identify with it? This is consciousness operating at another frequency. The most glaring difference is in the small things of everyday life. What an interesting transformation. In 3D, you cut someone off in traffic and justify he was slow. In 5D, you breathe, mentally apologize, and reflect on the haste that has overwhelmed you. In 3D, you see a homeless person and think he must have done something wrong to be there. In 5D, you feel genuine compassion and think, what a difficult journey this soul is facing to evolve. It's the difference between automatic judgment and conscious comprehension, a giant chasm disguised as silly details. And look, it's not about being perfect or never feeling angry, fear, or frustration again. These emotions are part of the real, authentic human experience. The question is, do you are these emotions, or do you observe them passing you by? Do you drown in the wave or surf it? This is the revelation that separates those who are really ascending from those who are just collecting spiritual knowledge on the shelf. Now comes the part that will reveal your unfiltered truth. 5 simple, direct questions with no escape. Respond with brutal honesty, not with what you'd like to be, but with what you actually do when no one is paying attention. First question: when someone criticizes you or disagrees with you, is your first reaction to defend yourself and prove that you are right? Or do you stop to consider that there may be truth in what the person is saying? Do you see the difference? One reaction comes from the wounded ego operating on autopilot. The other comes from the expanded consciousness that does not feel threatened by the perspective of others. Second provocation: when you see someone doing something that you consider wrong, it can be a behavior, a choice, a lifestyle. Do you mentally judge and condemn, or do you feel genuine compassion, understanding that each one is on their own step of evolution? This one hurts, because we love to think that we don't judge, but we keep doing it all the time disguised as opinion or concern. Judgment keeps you stuck in the frequency of separation, while compassion lifts you into the vibration of oneness. Third question that will mess with you: when things don't go as you planned, do you try to control and force the result at any cost? Or do you trust the natural flow of life and adapt to what appears? It's like that person who sulks all day because it rained and cancelled the tour, versus the one who improvises a movie at home and turns the problem into an opportunity. Control is fear disguised as organization. Flow is true trust in the process of the universe. Wednesday and Thursday together to close with a flourish. Are your decisions based on what others will think of me and what do I get out of it? Or do you act in line with your greater purpose even when no one applauds? And when you achieve something, is the first need to post, tell, prove it to the world? Or do you feel a silent internal satisfaction that doesn't need external validation? These two reveal if you are still operating from the ego, thirsty for recognition, or if you have already awakened to something greater that transcends the need for approval. Now comes the unvarnished truth about where you are on this ascension journey. If you answered yes to most of the first options, defend yourself, judge, control, seek approval, you're still operating mostly in 3D, and look, there's no problem with that. 3D is where most of humanity lives. It is the world of duality, of survival, of the ego running the show. You're learning valuable lessons there, experiencing intense contrasts that shape your consciousness. It's like being in the first year of school. No one is born knowing calculus, everyone starts with the basics. If your answers have been a little divided, sometimes it reacts automatically, sometimes it responds consciously. Welcome to 4D, the most uncomfortable spiritual purgatory there is. It's that phase where you've woken up enough to notice your patterns, but haven't evolved enough to change them consistently. It's knowing that it's wrong, but doing it anyway. It is recognizing the judgment arising, but not being able to prevent it every time. This frequency is transient in nature. It is the bridge between the old and the new you. And yes, it is uncomfortable as hell because you live in the constant tension between two worlds. Now, if you honestly answered in line with the second options, observe before you react, feel genuine compassion, flow with life, act on purpose, you are vibrating in 5D more consistently. But be careful, it does not mean that you have risen for good and will never fall again. 5D is not a fixed destination, it is a frequency that you need to actively choose, moment by moment, breath after breath. It's like working out. You don't stay strong forever by doing push-ups once. You maintain strength by training constantly. And here's an important revelation that few talk about. You can transition between these dimensions several times in the same day. In the morning, you're in 5D meditating and feeling universal love. In the afternoon, someone annoys you at work and you plummet to 3D cursing softly. The real transformation is not never falling again. It is falling fewer times and getting up faster each time it happens. So, now that you have discovered your true frequency, comes the question that really matters. What are you going to do with this revelation? Because knowledge without action is just spiritual entertainment. It's watching a gym video thinking you're going to get strong. The awareness you've just gained about yourself is the first step, but authentic awakening happens when you start observing your patterns on a day-to-day basis and choose differently, even if it's uncomfortable, even if no one sees it, even if the ego screams that you're missing something. I want you to do something now, not tomorrow, when the motivation wears off. Go there in the comments and sincerely share which dimension you identified with the most. 3D, 4D, or 5D. Without shame, without a mask, without pretending that you are more evolved than you really are. This radical honesty with yourself and others is what accelerates your expansion of truth. And you know what's cooler? When you share your real journey, you inspire others to do the same. That's the community vibe that 5D talks about so much. Remember I said that consciousness is a journey, not a destination. So stop demanding perfection and start celebrating every little evolution. That moment when you took a deep breath instead of exploding. That time you felt jealous but chose to transmute it into inspiration. That day you failed completely, but got up the next one willing to try again. These daily micro-transformations are more powerful than 1,000 spiritual retreats, where you feel enlightened for 3 days and go back to the same life as always. And look, if you've come this far, if this content has touched something real in you, it's because your soul is asking for more truth, more depth, more tools for this authentic ascension. The frequency you choose today determines the reality you will live tomorrow. So keep searching, keep questioning, keep evolving one day at a time. So that's it. You've made it to the end, and now you have in your hands a truth that many people spend their entire lives running away from. Absolute clarity about what frequency you really inhabit. But let me ask you a question that will define whether this knowledge becomes transformation or becomes just another video that you watched and forgot. What are you going to do differently from now on? Because look, you can close this video, go back to autopilot and keep pretending that you're evolving. Or you can use this revelation as fuel for real, visceral change that begins today, now, in the next thought you choose to have. Think with me. How many times have you had powerful insights that lasted 3 days and then evaporated into thin air? How many promises have you made to yourself that were only intentional? True ascension doesn't happen in a magical snap. It happens in the small daily decisions, in that moment when you choose to breathe instead of exploding, in that time when you feel judgment coming up but choose compassion, in that day when you trust the flow instead of trying to control every detail. These micro-choices are what build your new frequency, brick by brick. Now comes the part where you need to be truly honest. Are you willing to step out of the comfort zone of spiritual illusion? Are you ready to stop collecting knowledge and start living it? Because there is a huge difference between knowing the way and walking the way. And look, it doesn't matter if you identified with 3D, 4D, or 5D. What matters is that from that awakening, you begin to make conscious choices that raise your vibration 1 degree at a time. Rome wasn't built in a day, and your expanded consciousness isn't going to be either. So go to the comments now and tell me, what was your biggest revelation in this test? In which dimension did you identify yourself the most? And even more importantly, what will be the first concrete change you will make in your life from this new consciousness? You share this because when you externalize your commitment, you activate a universal force that conspires in favor of your evolution. And if you want to continue on this journey of authentic truth, subscribe to the channel and activate the bell, because here we don't sell spiritual illusion. We share real tools for a transformation that you feel in your skin, not just in theory.